I'm like a tampon in the day, pad at night kind of gal. Now it's like menstrual cup during the day, period underwear at night. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm very excited about. I've been meaning to film for a long time because I've just kind of been like ranting and rambling on my Instagram every time I have my period and I want to talk about zero waste products, and I feel like I just need to dedicate a video to it. Like, it's about time. You just don't really get as much information as what I'm like trying to say in like a single story post. It's just like not the same. So I really have been wanting to share this with you guys and like long form content, and it just doesn't feel like super appropriate to put on a feed post. Like, it's really easy to scroll past and like not read the huge long caption that I'm sure I would write and no one would read. So, but what I love and have been using is Salt, a brand that is charitable and donates menstrual products to women in need, but they're also B Corp certified, and lucky for you, I have a 15% off coupon that you guys can use. I'll leave the code here as well as a link down in this description so you can get 15% off your Salt menstrual products and kind of kickstart your zero waste journey in that way. I just don't want there to be any shame or any judgment about menstruation, having a period, needing products to keep yourself sanitary, clean, and comfortable. And for the longest time, I think far too long, it's always been disposable products. It's always been like one-time use, things you just use once and throw away. And I have changed my ways since then and feel just so much more like light in a way. Like, I don't feel guilty as an environmentalist for having a period and needing to keep myself clean and sanitary. Not that I should have ever felt that way, but as just someone who's really conscious about the waste that I'm producing and the single-use products that I kind of, you know, use and throw out, this was always like a big sticking point for me and something that I very early adopted before I even like was like a tried and true ride or die like environmentalist or someone who just cared about my waste and like that kind of thing. It all started back in 2017 when I very first moved to New York, and I had a roommate who was from Panama and was like diehard environmentalist, like probably the first person who really kind of put me on the path or like opened my mind up to so much more than just like recycling, you know, because for the longest time for me it was like I appreciate nature and I recycle, and like that was kind of like the crux of my environmentalism. And then my roommate was really kind of like much more like broad scope than that, so I was like really into learning from her and seeing what she had to say about certain things, especially being someone from Panama and being affected by like deforestation, agriculture, like big agriculture, farming, that kind of thing. And then also like indigenous people protecting the land but then being harmed by it. Like, these were all things that were like new to me. So one of the things that she introduced successfully to me was a Diva cup, which is like, in my mind, I'm sure it's probably not, but in my mind is like the OG menstrual cup. Like, to some people it's not even called a menstrual cup, it's just called a Diva cup, and like that's like the same thing as like it's not a tissue, it's Kleenex, or it's not like a plaster, it's a Band-Aid, which is like all brand names. Essentially Diva cup was that for menstrual cups, which was amazing. So I remember being in Brooklyn, it was like kind of a night out, not super, but we were in Williamsburg, we were just like exploring the area, and we stopped in a little deli. And I was like, oh, I've kind of been interested in getting one of these menstrual cups because they were talking about it, my roommates were talking about it, and I like picked it up and I was like, okay, there's two options. There's pregnant and had a child and not pregnant. And I was like, well, I've never had a baby, so I'm gonna take this option. And that's where it all started. I had this menstrual cup that was like fairly easy to insert. I've heard stories of people having like panic attacks like trying to insert it or get it out, or it's just uncomfortable, or it's just not, doesn't fit right, or it's not like shapely enough, like it's like just the wrong shape for someone's body, or again it just didn't have enough give or something. So I had heard all those things after my Diva cup experience, which was very easy and very pleasant and easy to insert and put it in the proper location, but I can definitely see why it's not everyone's cup of tea and why it might be something slower to adopt, because people were very comfortable and used to the idea of inserting a tampon but God forbid a silicone cup goes up there and stays there for longer than a few hours. That's just like unnatural, weird, wrong, you know what I mean? So I definitely was an early adopter in the menstrual cup department. And then came along period underwear, which was mind-blowing to me. I was like, how does this work? I honestly still don't really know how it works, but I am a huge fan of it. And that was because I have always like slept, I'm like a tampon in the day, pad at night kind of gal. Now it's like menstrual cup during the day, period underwear at night, or if I'm having a really heavy painful period, it's just period underwear for me. And period underwear it's so crazy to me, but when I'm like in a lot of pain and I'm bleeding heavily, which isn't often, it's usually like 1 or 2 days out of my cycle, I literally look forward to putting on my period underwear. Like that's the relationship that I've formed with it now. Like it's to the point where I look forward to it and I can't wait to put it on. That's kind of been my journey of going zero waste for my period, which is like super fun and cool. And I just kind of want to share with you guys like the products that I use and like what helps, keeps me clean, but most of all like comfortable, because there's no worse feeling than like already feeling like your insides are being torn apart and then feeling like, ugh, but I have to put a tampon in because this the kind of pants I want to wear need like a certain kind of underwear, and with that kind of underwear you can't wear a pad. You know what I mean? Like there is nuance. Okay, it's not just like I'm bleeding and I'm gonna put a pad on. It's like no, there's a lot more to it than that. Thank you very much. And I feel like I've been through a lot of that kind of thinking, a lot of like it's fashion over comfort for me today, or like yeah, I'm on my period but I still want to look nice, I still want to like be presentable, I don't want to be like slobbish and just like throw on sweats and call it a day. So there's that. I did also want to mention I had my name brand Diva Cup for 7 years, and I think that's when you're supposed to throw it out, is after like 5 to 7 years or something like that. So I literally had it from 2017 to 2023 and decided, okay, it's time for it to go. It definitely lasted up to 7 years, but like at the 7-year mark is when I started to notice like a little bit of tearing, and it just kind of like was falling apart. Not like shedding or anything like disturbing like that, but like it had a few like holes and it would like leak a bit more often. So I can definitely attest to the longevity of menstrual cups, which is amazing. So I was really pleased with that, but it wasn't even like a thought in my mind of like, oh, this isn't gonna last long, or like this is something that needs to last like a long time. It just did, and it was just part of it, part of the product, and I loved it for that. So yeah, the cup after the Diva Cup that I picked up was Salt. I picked this up at the end of 2023 for a cruise actually, because I was like, okay, well my Diva Cup is broken, I don't have anything else to use, but I think I'm gonna start my period soon. It's just that, you know, that women's intuition, I could just feel it. So I picked this up. And I actually later became an ambassador for Salt. I have a 15% off coupon code. I'll leave the code here on the screen, but also down in the description. I'm not going to show you because it feels like really intimate to show you, especially because it's been used, but you can look at them online if you want to see what more they look like. They come in like a little cardboard cup kind of thing with your menstrual cup and a little baggie for it, and this is where I store it. Ways to clean it: you can boil it, maybe use soap and water with it. I don't actually like boil it, but like I'll heat up water and then like leave this in a cup of like really hot water for like 5 minutes or so just to sanitize it. You can wash it, but like typically when this is in use, what I'll do is, you know, wear it throughout the day. If I have to empty it, like that can be a little tricky. It's not the worst thing in the world though. Like if you're in a public restroom, here's my kind of like tip and trick is you're able to take it out, dump it, kind of towel it off with whatever tissue you have available in this public restroom. Make sure your downstairs area is really clean, and then like reinsert it. If you have like a little small kind of like personal bathroom, is what I'll do is, again, take it out, dump it in the toilet, and then maybe rinse it off a little bit in the sink and then reinsert it that way. So I don't know if this is like too graphic, if I shouldn't be explaining how to clean it, but I feel like you should, you know, like tips and tricks help everybody, you know. So this is just how I do my period zero waste. Sorry, sue me. Just kidding, don't. So that's kind of like how I'll go about my day with it inserted. Again, if my flow is heavier, I can't lie, like I don't have a super heavy flow. I feel like I used to, and I would have to like worry more about like where I was when it was time to empty it and clean it, but now I don't really worry about that so much. I feel like my period has like naturally lightened over time, which is like really good for me because I'm not in like so much pain or bleeding so much. So there's that. So this is like my main use during the day if like I don't feel uncomfortable, you know, like if I'm not in too much pain. So I'll use this. For me, it stays in, it doesn't I'm just thinking in my head, like I'm laughing because the other night I'm like, yeah, it is really comfortable because I actually fell asleep with it in and like woke up the next morning and I was like, wow, like I must have not bled at all last night. And then I was like, oh my god, my cup is still in. Like I had no idea. It literally was just so comfortable and I must have just been so tired I like forgot to take it out. But that's just a testament to how truly comfortable it really is. Yeah, that did happen. So also if you feel like it still leaks a little bit, what I'll do is I have these little reusable cotton liners. I have them here in front of me. I don't want to show them to you because they're stained and they've been used, like blood stains, y'all. Like I feel like we know that. But what I can do is kind of like cover it up. So it has these little Velcro bits and you just Velcro it under your undies like a little panty liner, and it's reusable. You can get these on Amazon. I'm sure you can find them basically anywhere, but I really like these because they do absorb your menstruation and they dry really quickly, but they're also something you can like throw in the wash and bleach them and get them like super clean again. What I typically do is I have my cup in and then I put in this little like cotton Velcro reusable liner in throughout the day if it's like a heavier flow day for me. And I'll keep that there, and then when it's time to like clean it, what I'll do is take it off, obviously, rinse it with cold water and like wring it out until the water runs clear, and that's how I know it's like pretty empty, if you will, or like cleaned off, and then I'll put it in the laundry to like wash with everything. I'll link what I got down below. It came with a pack of 4, and for me I feel like that's fine because maybe you're gonna do laundry within that time span. And by that point then like you have them to use again, and that's the whole point. So that is my little duo, is the cup with the little liners, which again I'm not going to show you, but they exist and they work, and they're easy to clean, fairly easy to clean, so I do appreciate that. And then my saving grace, again, something I look forward to so often, is to have my little period undies. These are just like briefs. They are really clean. They smell really good right now. Again, I don't really know how they work, but there is an absorbency, you can kind of tell, all the way from the front all the way to like the back cheek, and they like definitely absorb overnight. Like again, I'm not really sure of the science behind them, but I adore them and they're so comfortable, and I literally look forward to wearing them. And I just feel really strongly about like a zero waste period because again, like I had so much guilt like throwing things out all the time every month and like spending that kind of money on them. Not to mention the studies that have come out very recently about toxic materials and heavy metals in tampons that literally go inside of you, like they get inserted. If you're a person that menstruates, that is something that you've probably had some sort of exposure with, and it's scary to think that millions and millions of menstruating people, maybe billions, right? There's like 7 billion people, so billions possibly of menstruating people that have used tampons have been exposed to toxic materials and heavy metals in the bloodstream. Like we don't even know the effects on people because it hasn't been studied. It truly, like when it comes to feminine health, women's health, like it is just drastically understudied than it is like men's, and that's kind of just the way it's been. But I think we're finally like learning to look into research a little bit more seriously and not just take it as like, oh, they're like hysterical, you know, just like this stuff of like women being discredited or gaslit. I wanted to think of a different word beyond gaslit because I feel like that's just overused, but you get what I'm saying, like dismissed, that's the word. dismissed about like genuine health concerns. So that's why I also feel so strongly about like reusable products, is because like they're in my care and like I know what they're made out of. It's not like a cup is gonna have like asbestos in it and that I can't see it. Like I would be able to see something like that and understand what's going into my body. And also these companies are women founded, so that makes me feel really good. It's not just like some greedy old white man who's like selling tampons that have mercury in them and being like, my pockets, I'm getting so rich. Oh god. And then on top of that, people weren't even testing menstrual products with real blood until also like very recently in the past few years. It could have even been 2024, it might have been 2023, 2022, but like that is just so ridiculous to me. How are you going to sell menstrual products and not even test it with menstrual byproduct like waste blood? You know what I mean? Like that is just mind-blowingly stupid to me. So I don't know, I just think like having your period go zero waste is really beneficial for your health and the planet. And I definitely think it's something like over time, like I had a menstrual cup for 7 years. That's that one-time investment of like $30 or so saved me so much over the time of like tampons and pads and panty liners and different kind of pads and like that kind of stuff. Like it just like, yes, it's a big one-time investment, but it really does pay off in the long run for many, many reasons, just beyond like the price of it all. All right, welcome to the Khan Academy of Period Math. We're going to prove how much it is to use reusables versus single use. So I use these stats from Healthline and I came up with some averages. So we're going to say the average menstruation starts at 12 and ends at 51, which is 38 years of menstruation. Now we're going to break it down by cycle. That's about 31 days, so you bleed once a month. 38 years of menstruation times 12 for each month is 456 periods over a lifetime. Now let's say the average duration of a period is 6 days of bleeding. So for a moderate cycle, you might need 2 tampons, 2 panty liners, and 1 pad a day. Remember, we're saying that you bleed for 6 days, so multiply all that by 6. This brings us to the average amount of period products per year, which is 5,472 tampons and panty liners and 2,736 pads a lifetime. Now we're going to see how much those thousands and thousands of period products would actually cost you. 36 tampons at Walgreens cost you $11.99. We know that there are 5,472 that you need. Divide that by 36. That's 152 boxes of tampons at $11.99 each. That is a conservative, moderate estimate for $1,822.48 a lifetime worth of tampons. We're going to assume that you want a panty liner for every tampon that you put in. So this box comes with 162 for $11.99. So 5,472 divided by 162 liners per box gets you 34 boxes. 34 boxes times $11.99 gets you to $407.66 for a lifetime of panty liners. Of course, we're going to do the same thing with pads. These are overnight, so just assuming that you use one per night in your 6-day cycle. Again, this is all moderate and conservative estimating. So again, we're multiplying each night of your cycle by 456, as that's the lifetime average of periods, to get the 2,736. Now let's say there are 20 pads per box. That gets you 137 boxes. Multiply that by $8.99 for the overnight ones here at Walgreens, and that gets you a total of $1,231.63 for a lifetime worth of pads. And now the grand total of all of those things combined is $3,461.77 for a lifetime worth of period products that are single use. Now let's do the same thing, but for reusable products. The math is much simpler here because we can go by years versus like how many products come in a box. So remember, we're saying there are 38 years of periods in a lifetime on average, and a menstrual cup is about 5 years. That's its average lifetime. Divide 38 by 5, that gets you 8 cups. Multiply that by 29, that gets you a total of $232. For period undies, it's a little bit trickier. There's no actual guideline on when to throw them out or their lifetime or their lifespan. So honestly, as long as they're effective, you could keep them essentially forever. And I've seen like a lot of like TikTok hoopla about like, oh, you need to throw them out every 6 to 12 months. I think that's utter and complete bullshit. So just keep using them if they work. But anyway, let's say you want to replace them every 5 years. That's 8 years times that by 81. That gets you a total of $648. Let's say we use the same rule for reusable liners. That means you're going to replace them every 5 years. That's 8 times in total. So multiply that by 22.99. That gets you a total of $183.92. And the total for our reusables comes out to $1,063.92 versus our earlier total of $3,461.77. So we now can see that reusables cost you a fraction of what single-use products cost you, although I do still think period and menstrual products should be free or extremely, extremely cheap because there is a such thing as the pink tax, and it's very unfortunate, but it is just a reality of our patriarchal society at this point in time. But yes, that is my period con academy. Thank you so much for watching. But I know also if you're not super comfortable with a menstrual cup, I know a lot of women that aren't, or I know a lot of people that menstruate aren't because it can be a bit invasive or too large. They do have discs, but again, period underwear is like a massive, massive leap forward in my opinion. Of course, Thinx did have like their own kind of like scandal with period products, whatever. Again, I have that SALT coupon code or link, whatever you want to use. Again, down in the description for you to check out in case you're interested in kind of like kickstarting your zero waste menstrual journey. I feel just like relieved about it. Like I have a pad or a tampon like in case of emergency, but I don't need to go out and buy like these huge space wasting things of like plastic and cotton or whatever that like, yes, I do buy the organic versions of those like when I do need them, but again, like they just take up so much space under the counter. Like it's best for me to just not have them and save that space for something else, something I can, you know, use for other organizational things. There's just a lot of benefits to not having tampons and pads and like relying on them all the time. I hope you guys learned something from this video or agreed with something or think about things in a different way. That was kind of the main point of it, is like reusing something that you have control of how clean it is. Like it's not a gross thing, and it's honestly something that makes me feel very safe and comfortable. I know where my products are coming from, I know how they're being cleaned and used, and they're mine, you know what I mean? But yeah, this is just a topic I've been really passionate about on like Instagram stories, and like just thought it was time to share like a full-fledged video. Thank you so much for sticking around. There's going to be a video at the end recommended just for you, so you should go ahead and watch that one along with a playlist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube things. You can follow me on Instagram if you so please. Don't forget to be kind to yourself, others, and the planet, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye.